You know, bring me see. I never really thought you were good enough for my son. But I guess we can't all have everything we want, can we?
Those words still ring in my ear to this day, despite going against my mouth's wishes. I married the love of my life, Neil, 3 years ago, and we've been a happy couple ever since, despite my Mile not wanting it to be that way. Hi there, my name is Macy, and this is the story of how I embarrassed my Mel so badly that she's still unreachable to this day. Every now and then, I dust my shoulders off for the good work I did, but after enough gloating, time for story time. I never really liked my Myrene. It's not that I had anything against her, it's just that she had always been overly critical of me ever since Neil and I got together. She would make snide comments about my cooking, my fashion choices, and even my job. I always tried to shrug it off and be the bigger person, but it wasn't easy. But there was one incident that really sealed the deal for me. A couple of years ago, when Neil and I were engaged, Irene made a comment that still haunts me to this day. We were at a family gathering, and Irene had had a bit too much to drink. She turned to me and said, "You know, Vikes Macy, I never really thought you were good enough for my son. But I guess we can't all have everything we want, can we?" I was mortified. There were horrified looks from everyone around us, wondering what on earth I did to poor Mom Irene to upset her so much. Except, I didn't do anything. I was a loving and caring girlfriend then, and am a loving and caring wife now. She just made me look bad because she has her reasons as to why she doesn't like me, and I didn't know why. I didn't know how to respond, so I just smiled weakly and excused myself to go to the bathroom. I cried for a good 10 minutes, feeling embarrassed and hurt. After that, I distanced myself from Irene as much as possible. I thought it would be better for my mental health if I did so, and it did indeed work. I would only attend family gatherings when I absolutely had to, and even then, I would keep my distance from Irene. You must be wondering about Neil, my husband, and what he has to say about all of this. Well, the thing is, he knew that Irene and I didn't get along, but he just perceived it as your typical mile rivalry that's bound to happen with a lot of couples. But Neil didn't know what his mother did that night, and I didn't tell him. I know that as a couple, we have to be completely honest with each other, but I couldn't stand the idea of breaking his poor little heart like that. He'd go Godzilla and probably ruin the relationship he had with his mother, and as someone who didn't have a good relationship with their mother, I wanted to protect him from experiencing the same heartache. Anyways, a few weeks ago, Irene had called us all for dinner at her house. "You two need to come to my party. It's somewhat of a work event that I'm hosting, and I decided to invite some family members also to show off to my lovely workmates." Ah, that sounds nice. I'll ask Macy to come. No, there's no asking, just tell her that she has to come. It's very important. Zipsa Securities, Irene hung up the phone before Neil and I could tell her that we were both here, listening to what she had to say. "Well, what do you think, babe?" "Well, I think I would want to sit this one out. Oh, come on, Macy, you're no fun anymore. You never want to go out with me to family functions. I know you don't like my mom, but is it really that bad? If only you knew my love. I just don't feel too comfortable around big groups of people. And this is for her work buddies, right? I don't know, babes. Come on, babes. Let's help her out. Don't act like she really wanted you there. Maybe this is her attempt at extending an olive branch. Please come with me. How could I say no to my beautiful husband? Of course, I relented. Okay, babe, let's do this. Little did I know that this night would be the night that I last heard from my mill. Invitations the night of the big dinner event that Irene was hosting finally arrived. Bits of Neil and I were looking dapper, as per the requests of the host herself. It seemed like there were a lot of important people here. Perhaps Irene was hosting this event to get in good graces with her superiors and supervisors. It looked like she wanted to impress them badly so that she can properly set up her retirement funding. When we arrived, custom picture and citations, I braced myself as I normally have to do for Irene's snarky and snide comments toward me. She'd always do them in such a subtle and inconspicuous way, so that anybody called her out, she could easily backtrack. Come on, people. I know we all know at least one person who acts like this. It was extremely hard to navigate such people, because I could easily tell when it happened, but I'm such a sensitive and shy person that I would just try and brush it off. That's exactly what happened that night when she practically stated that she wished I wasn't engaged to be married to Neil. I ran away, as I always did, but this night, things were a bit different. But let me not get ahead of myself. What happened next was quite shocking, actually. As I mentioned, I was gearing myself up for a long night of dodging snide comments. But as I met Irene for the first time in what felt like ages, she did something peculiar.
Bishopper. Hello, my darling Macy. How have you been? You've been Maya. I'm so glad that you came out this time around.
Surprised. Hello. I said, well, I didn't think you noticed my absence.
Nonsense. I'm so glad Neil was able to convince you to come. You look stunning, by the way.
Red is your color, darling. You should wear it more often. I was shocked. Did she fall and hit her head, perhaps? Why was she being so nice? I was taken aback by this newfound sympathy, and it appeared to be genuine for the most part. That years of dealing with this left me skeptical of this new behavior. The night was proceeding, and we were chatting and making small talk as Neil and I were being paraded around Irene's co-workers like shiny new toys. Neil is a great talker and charmer. I guess he gets that from his mother, so conversation was flowing easily amongst all of us. I liked Irene's co-workers. They were so sweet. Later on in the night, I saw another face that I hadn't seen in a while, except this time. I openly welcomed seeing this face.
Benjamin, how are you?
KMSC. I was so. It's been a while.
I was concerned. Why was the normally jovial Benjamin so quiet and serious all of a sudden? It seemed like tonight was a night for changes in personalities all around, and led me to a quiet place outside, and I was growing more and more worried.
Oh, Ben, what's going on?
Well, Ace, I have some news, and I'm so sorry in advance for everything, but I thought that you needed to know.
What happened?
And damn, I thought that she had changed your ways. I'm so disappointed.
Oh, Ben, I'm getting scared.
I'm sorry for keeping you in suspense. Oh, below sore. It's just that, well, it's not that easy for me to say.
Part of me is embarrassed because it took me such a long time to say it.
Oh, Ben, if this is, it's about that crush she used to have on me, it's all water under the bridge. So, please don't feel embarrassed about it.
How? What I, oh, you mean that time? Ellie Waff. I wasn't thinking about that, but now I am.
You are referring to that. And there's that pillow you're referring to.
I'm sure. Okay, so we all know how Aunt Eileen treats you. You all see that she's kind of snarky, but not too much.
But it's still a lot to handle, and I'm so sorry she's been treating you this way.
But well, tonight she's been quite lovely, actually. She even complimented my dressing sense for once.
I think I can safely come out of hiding now and be more open and comfortable with her. Neil said it seemed like she was extending an olive branch.
Yeah, well, good adult, I don't think you'll feel the same way after seeing what I have to show you, and
What is it? Mrs. Ben proceeds to show me a video recording of a tipsy-looking and sounding Irene talking about me in the kitchen with one of her friends. And her nose is way too big. She should seriously get a nose job and that dress that she was wearing. Geez, I knew she didn't have any fashion sense, but I didn't know it was this bad. I don't know who told her that red is her color, but whoever told her that should be arrested. I was shocked yet again, but unfortunately, this type of shocked feeling was one that I was all too familiar with. I would be shocked at the new insults she'd hurl at me, but I was surprised that she was speaking with such malice.
I overheard her talking to someone as I was coming from the bathroom. I tried my best to get as much information as possible, but I had to remain hidden, so this was the best I could get. I'm so sorry for all of the awful things she said about you.
Unfortunately, but Ben, I'm kind of used to it at this point.
And Sia, so that's your problem. You always let her walk all over you. I'm so sorry I didn't show you this early.
There's nothing to apologize for.
I'm not talking about this video. But see, there's another important video that I think you need to see. I tried to hide it from you all those years ago, mainly because I thought you'd prefer not to see the embarrassing moment. But, considering what I saw tonight, and I'm glad that I kept it all these years. So,
Ben begins to show me a video, and at first, I didn't really know what he was showing me, as it appeared as though Ben was taking a video of him talking with one of his relatives, and then in the distance of the VL, I could hear those words that still haunted me.
You know, Macy, I never really thought you were good enough for my son. But I guess we can't all have everything we want, can we?
Suddenly, the camera whipped to the direction of the commotion to reveal me, very red in the face, and Irene smirking at me. I then dashed off, not noticing the camera, but Irene remained. Action, even though the video someone could see that the air was filled with thick tension. Irene proceeded to speak.
Oh, come on. We were all thinking about it. I can't stand that girl. I don't even know what Neil sees in her.
She's so ugly, and I don't think she even knows how to be a good mother. And another thing,
Okay, Auntie Irene, let's get you some water.
the video ended with Ben seeming to take Irene away, and then the footage stopped altogether.
I didn't know she said all of that afterward.
And that's why I didn't want to show you, so... Osti's interested the like what to hear, and I realize now that I should have told you all those years ago.
Perhaps something would have changed. I was banking on the fact that perhaps Auntie Irene was beginning to warm up to you. But after hearing what she said today, I can see that absolutely nothing has changed, and you have every right to know that.
As much as it pains me to know that a lot of you knew this information before, I'm glad that you're just trying to protect my feelings.
Thank you for telling me now, though. Better late than never, I guess.
I'm gonna send these videos to you right now. On the side, you know, you can do whatever you want with them, but I think you need to show these to Neil.
I have a better idea, actually. You're off and now I'm sick of being so shy and complacent when she so blatantly disrespects me. Sure, yeah. It's my turn to embarrass her.
That's with the videos now in my possession. I marched towards the living room, where Irene was hosting a presentation to some of her co-workers.
Oh, darling. I'm so sorry, but this is a closed-off area for a little while at least.
Trust me, I have some very important information that I think your coworkers would like to know.
Listen. Oh, then by all means, share what you have to say. Is it about my hard work ethic or my leadership skills?
Oh, trust me, it's even better than all of that. It shows the real you.
Marvelous. Then, by all means, connect your phone to the TV. Oh, you guys, isn't my daughter-in-law just darling?
There were various awees and commendations floating through the room, and at that moment, Bill came in.
Hey, I had checks. What's going on?
Hey, babes. I needed you to come and see this too. It's very important.
Oh, okay.
Neil, can you believe it? Your wife made a lovely presentation about me. Tell everyone to come and see this.
People began to gather around in the living room, and although it was getting a bit cramped, all of the guests managed to fit in.
Well, here goes nothing. Irene, I know you've never liked me. And honestly, I don't even know why you don't like me. All night you've been acting like we're some big happy family, but I know how you feel about me, so...
People began to look and sound confused. They were shifting uncomfortably and murmuring amongst themselves about the brewing drama.
Hey, what are you doing?
Just trust me on this one, babe. I get that, you don't like me, but must you be so cruel to me, too?
Nervously laughing. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think you should present anymore. Give me back the remote.
Not till I'm finished. See, I got some very interesting information tonight.
Remember how you said you loved my dress and that I look good in red?
Yes, of course.
And then why did you say this?
I played the video that Ben showed me, the one that was taken that same evening. unto the same hurtful words were repeated, and although I heard those words before, they still stung. The whole room was gasping, wondering why she was being so cruel. Neil had furrowed his eyebrows, and he began to look very angry.
I was talking about someone else. Obviously,
Yeah. Cool.
Irene looked around the room to see that I was the only one wearing red that night, so it was obvious that she was talking about me. She began to look very flustered and angry.
what are you trying to pull here, Missy? Everyone, please don't mind this mishap. I believe Macy isn't well. You should go lie down, darling.
Oh no, Irene. I'm quite fine actually. Eerie if anything. I feel very liberated. And ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately that's not all.
Let me present to you something that occurred approximately 3 years ago. Some awful words were said to me and about me, and I thought it best to share them with you. I played the second video, the original video, the one with those damning words that were still ringing in my ears. Everyone was gasping and expressing their heartfelt disappointment and disgust with what they heard Irene say about me. Neil especially looked like he was about to blow. Once the video was concluded, there was dead silence in the room. Everyone was looking at Irene, including myself.
Oh, you see guys, this is the real Irene. Don't let her fool you into thinking that she is a kind, warm person. And he can be as sweet as apple pie to your face, but trust me, once your back is turned, she is ready to stab it and hurl the ugliest insults to you.
I've met all of you lovely people tonight, and you seem to be running a legitimate business. So I implore you to think very carefully about how you praise or promote Irene, because if it were up to me, I would never continue to work with someone so ugly and cruel. Tyrion was glancing around the room, searching for anyone who was willing to hear her out. Actually, twins, at least was people Irene was glancing for anyone who was willing to hear her out, or rather hear the lies that she was most likely conjuring to cover her tracks. Irene, well, you see, the thing is, what happened was, that day I was very drunk, you see. Someone in the crowd shouted,
Yeah, but a drunk mind always speaks over thoughts.
Who said that? Just reveal yourself. Oh, listen here.
I don't know what's gotten into you, but you need to apologize to all of my guests for your behavior.
No. I think it's you who needs to do the apologizing. For Mom.
Neil finally spoke. He hadn't said a word since he was in the room, and now he seemed like he had a bone to pick with his mother. You treated my wife like this?
Neil, baby.
Call that baby me. The Mom. What's wrong with you? How would you say such awful things?
Oh, come on, everybody. I was joking. Yes, that's what it was. It was all a prank. That's what you kids are doing nowadays, isn't it?
Stop lying to us. Wow. Or you're only embarrassing yourself even more.
You are a pathetic woman, and you're a sad excuse for a colleague and a mother-in-law. Like this, Irene began to cry, still trying to shift the attention from me and onto her. She was looking for sympathy, but no one was willing to give it to her. She was obviously getting desperate, and her facade began to slip, revealing the true monster underneath. She began berating everybody, including her coworkers. She said that they were all trolls for not believing her, but her outburst was doing nothing to help her in this situation. She was clearly spiraling, and slowly but surely, people began to leave, including her supervisors and superiors. Needless to say, she wouldn't be getting that big pension fund she was vying for. Not only that, but Neil had told me the next day that he overheard some people say that she would be fired effective immediately due to her gross misconduct. Surely enough, she was fired, and she was given a meager pension fund. But after hearing the news that she'd been fired, it was as if she had disappeared from the face of the earth. I should probably mention that after everyone left, Neil berated his mother in front of me and some other family members who were part of this occasion. He forced her to apologize, and she was completely mortified. Such a proud and malicious woman's worst fear is taking accountability for her actions. But she had to. She apologized and immediately ran to her room. The rest of us left, and when we heard the news that she'd been sacked, we wanted to contact her and console her even though she deserved. But alas, she wasn't returning any of our calls, including Neil's. A month had passed, then 6, then a whole year had gone by. And still, to this day, we haven't heard from her. It's a shame considering she always had a lot to say, and now that she'd been humbled, she was as quiet as a mouse. How pathetic indeed. I told him my mother is mentally ill. She ripped me off. "Okay, babe, you won't believe it, but your mom has been so friendly to me lately. She's been messaging and calling me quite often. I think she's finally warming up to me. Have you heard from her recently? I know you guys never really got along. I still remember how Mark's message took me by surprise. My mother, Bonnie, was notorious for her difficult and cruel personality. Just over the years, she had managed to alienate me along with almost all the rest of her family besides my sister. Lucy, my husband and I had always kept our distance from her to maintain some semblance of peace in our lives. But I had never revealed the full extent of her behavior to Mark. I wanted to keep that part of my life firmly in the past. I couldn't help but wonder what had prompted this sudden change. Was it genuine or was there an ulterior motive? Bonnie's actions were always laced with hidden agendas and manipulation. It made me wary of her sudden friendliness towards my husband. As weeks went by, Bonnie's interactions with Mark continued to increase. She would send him funny messages, call him to chat, and even invited him for lunch. I have to admit, I almost hoped that I would have a mother in my life again. But mostly I was worried. I tried to talk to Mark about my concerns, but he brushed them off, claiming that it was nice to have a better relationship with my mother. He couldn't understand the years of strain and tension that had led me to keep our distance from Bonnie. Deep down, I felt a sense of unease growing within me. I knew my mother too well to believe that she had genuinely changed her ways. There had to be something more to her sudden friendliness towards Mark. Mark, we need to talk. I'm really worried about how much time you're suddenly spending with Bonnie. I haven't really told you the truth about her, how unstable and dangerous she is. Babe, what's gotten into you? Bonnie and I have been having coffee and catching up. It's harmless. Maybe she finally wants to change? As Mark dismissed my concerns, frustration and fear coursed through my veins. I couldn't believe he was underestimating the true nature of my mother. Why wouldn't he trust me? Mark, please listen to me. I've experienced Bonnie's manipulation firsthand. She has a way of twisting things and causing chaos. I'm genuinely worried about what she might be up to. I don't think we can trust her. But my plea fell on deaf ears. Mark remained firm in his belief that Bonnie had changed, blind to her true nature. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach, a sinking feeling that our relationship was being tested and that we might be failing. Looking back on my marriage with Mark, there was a time when we were genuinely happy together. We had our fair share of ups and downs, but our love was strong, and we made a great team. I still have fond memories of those simple days. I never could have imagined our story would take such a twisted turn, filled with betrayal and deceit. That the crisis that was coming would test me to my limits, and the person I once trusted with my whole being would become a stranger. But at the time, I couldn't see it. I thought I might have been a bit hard on my husband. I'm sorry if I've seemed suspicious of you lately. I just have a very bad history with Bonnie. It's hard for me to believe that she could change. I didn't mean to doubt you. I know you two have never had a good relationship. These things can be scary. Rich in that moment, a glimmer of hope ignited within me. But Mark's willingness to acknowledge my pain and extend forgiveness gave me some much-needed reassurance. Thank you, Mark. I want to believe in her again. Let's work through this together. As we embraced, I felt that maybe things would be all right after all. But just as the shadows of doubt began to fade, Mark revealed a startling revelation that sent chills down my spine. Speaking of your mom, Bonnie has invited us to dinner along with your sister Lucy. She said she wants to mend the family ties. Susie, I think this could be good for you. My heart skipped a beat. Bonnie's sudden invitation set off alarms in my mind. I had a sinking feeling that this dinner held a hidden agenda. This must be a trap. Mark, please be careful. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something. Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. Thanks agreed to go to dinner. A week later, I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. That's going to dinner with Mark. Tati, Bonnie, and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. I have a bad feeling about this. Actually, I'm open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something, Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. Britt agreed to go to dinner. For a week later, I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. Oops, going to dinner with Mark. Bonnie and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. I have a bad feeling about this. I open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something. Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. We agreed to go to dinner. Lunch a week later, I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. Going to dinner with Mark. Bonnie and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something. Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. We agreed to go to dinner. Thus came a week later. I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. It's going to dinner with Mark. As tradition, Bonnie and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something. Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. He agreed to go to dinner. A week later, I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. Going to dinner with Mark. Bonnie and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something. Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. We agreed to go to dinner. If all possible, in a week later, I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. Going to dinner with Mark. Bonnie and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm open to mending things, but I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Lucy had always been my mother's partner in crime. I knew in my gut they were plotting something. Mark's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he registered my words. But in the end, I couldn't make him listen to my side. We agreed to go to dinner. Then a week later, I was standing outside my mom's house for the first time in years. Going to dinner with Mark. Bonnie and Lucy was an experience that filled me with a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. Meeting with my mom and sister was like opening a box that I had rather stayed closed.
Susie, darling, and again, Dilly, it's so wonderful to have you here. We've missed you terribly. So much.
Forcing a smile, thank you. Nah, I appreciate the invitation.
Oh, how I miss having both my girls close by.
Susie, look at you, all dolled up. Mark, you're a lucky man to have such a beautiful wife.
As Bonnie and Lucy greeted me with open arms, showering me with compliments. I felt uneasy. There was something in Lucy's tone that gave me a bad feeling. Thank you, Lucy. It's kind of you to say. Mark does have good taste. The dinner progressed, and on the surface, everything appeared fine. We engaged in light conversation, sharing laughter and stories. We caught up as family. But deep down, I couldn't ignore the subtle glances Lucy directed at Mark, the way her eyes lingered a little too long, the praise she threw his way. But I trusted Mark. I ignored my feelings and tried to focus on rekindling family ties. But as the night wore on, my views intensified. Lucy's attention toward Mark grew more conspicuous, and I caught her trying to speak to him alone twice. I felt the atmosphere becoming tense.
So, Mark, you seem like the perfect husband. Do you ever feel like Susie keeps you on a tight leash?
As we have a lot of trust, right, Susie?
Yes, we do, Honorable.
I definitely know what I do to keep a man like you around.
The dinner left a bad taste in my mouth. And as the weeks went by, things went from bad to worse. One day, Lucy messaged me out of the blue.
Hey, sis. Hi, Cass. And it was great to see you and Mark the other night.
Oh, hi, Lucy. Thanks for inviting us.
Okay, sounds good.
Finn, I think it would be great if we could get together again. Let's get the sisters together and can catch up.
I didn't know what to think. Lucy had always helped my mom torment me. But even if the dinner had been a little weird, she hadn't done anything outrageous. I felt I couldn't refuse. So, what were you thinking?
Let's get coffee. I'll text you the location. Tomorrow at 10? Great, sis. See you soon.
I was nervous when I arrived at the coffee shop. Can people really change? There was no point in putting it off. The time to talk to my sister. Hi, Lucy. It's been a while. I'm glad we could meet.
Hi, Lucy. It's been a while. I'm glad we could meet.
Susie, I've missed you so much, sis. Take a seat. Let's catch up.
I had to admit, I felt uneasy, but I thought it would be nice to have my sister in my life again.
It's nice to see you too. Lucy, it's been ages since we last got together.
Well, it's all water under the bridge. How's life treating you?
I can't complain. Mark and I are very happy.
So tell me, Susie, how did you manage to win over Mark? What a catch. He's always seemed so guarded and hard to please. I was taken aback. Why all this interest in my husband?
At Take Doctor, I don't know what to say. We just hit it off.
And how's your marriage? I guess it's happy too.
Buckley, I thought we were meeting to reconnect as sisters, not to discuss my marriage. Why the sudden curiosity about Mark?
Lucy tried to avoid meeting my eye. I noticed a shift in Lucy's demeanor, her repeated interest in my husband. It made me uneasy. Was there an ulterior motive behind her questions? My instincts told me that something was off.
Haha, just gossiping. You know, I've had some bad luck with relationships lately, and I thought maybe you could give me some tips.
Mark seems to adore you, and I really want some advice on winning a man's heart. Give me your best tricks.
Tricks?
Yeah, to find my own Mark.
Hello, my name is John. I love cat.
Then
At winning a man's heart. The Lucy I knew never had any trouble with that. She was smart enough to know that love couldn't be boiled down to simple tricks or formulas. What did she actually want to know? I couldn't have guessed that it was really the key to Mark's heart.
We'll see. Building a successful relationship isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about genuine connection, trust, and understanding. But I'm curious, why this sudden interest in finding a man like Mark?
Miss Lucy fidgeted with a coffee cup, avoiding my gaze. Something was definitely wrong here. Looks like the old family demons were rearing their ugly heads. But was Bonnie involved here too?
Fine perceptions. Well, Bonnie has been pressuring me to settle down and start a family. She keeps comparing my life to yours, and I guess I'm just looking for some guidance. You're like her golden girl, really.
Her golden girl? There was no way. My mom had never forgiven me for resisting her manipulations. My suspicions were confirmed as Lucy mentioned Bonnie. She was definitely up to something.
It's like, just tell me a bit. What does he like to do? Favorite foods? What's he really like?
Well,
That's against my better judgment. I kept chatting with Lucy about Mark. I put my doubts aside and tried to enjoy some quality time with my sister. As I went home later that day, I saw Mark making a snack in the kitchen.
Hey, babe. As your show, what's up?
not much. Just spend some time catching up with Lucy.
Hey, it's great. So I think that you two have been close, right?
No, she was always closer to my mom.
Oh, so it's past, but I was saying, well, it's great that you're getting together again.
The next week was busy, and I soon forgot how odd my little coffee date with my sister was. However, I soon noticed some troubling patterns. Mark stayed friendly with my mom. However, he began to get more and more distant at home. I felt that we were beginning to drift apart. I remember staring at the message on my phone, feeling a mix of disappointment and resignation. It had become a pattern lately. Brooke's sudden workload and endless excuses for never being home. At first, I had brushed it off, convincing myself that he was just working hard like always, but I had my doubts deep down. Suddenly, my mom reached out to me. We hadn't spoken since the dinner.
Hey, Susie! Long time no talk. How have you been?
Oh, hi, Mom. I've been good, thanks. Just keeping busy. How about you?
I've been doing well too. I wanted to let you know that something big is coming your way soon. There's something that will make you regret betraying your own mother. On being nasty all these years. Hey!
My heart skipped a beat as I read Bonnie's message. But what did she mean by a big surprise? What did she have in store for me?
Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't betrayed anyone. I'd love for us to keep getting along.
My mind raced as I thought about what she might have in store for me.
Oh, don't worry, sweetie. I'll just say, you're gonna get what you deserve. Hope you're doing well.
I felt sick as I read the message. Kitchen, little did I know that this spelled the beginning of the end of my marriage. But when Mark came home that night, I wasn't expecting anything.
Susie, we need to talk. I have something important to tell you.
What's wrong, Bunk? You look upset. Is everything okay?
I don't know how to say this, but I've made a decision. You're seeing I'm divorcing you. Susie, I've fallen in love with someone else, and my heart wants what it wants.
Mark's words hit me like a hammer and my heart sank. Divorce? Fallen in love with someone else. It felt like the ground beneath me was crumbling. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could he do this to me? And who could he possibly have fallen in love with?
But it's your sister, Lucy.
We've been seeing each other for a while now, and we've decided to get married. I can't live without her.
The tears welled up in my eyes, and I struggled to find the words to respond. My own sister? Mark, how could you? My own sister? I'm going to be sick. How could you do this to me?
Actually, your side of Susie, you have to understand. OC and I are so happy together.
And your mom, she's even supporting us. She's giving us money to start our new life. Bert's words devastated me. Suddenly, it all became clear. This was my mom's plan all along. Plotting to steal Mark away from me and ruin my home. I knew she couldn't be trusted. Bonnie, Lucy, Mug, my whole family had turned against me. And Mark continued to explain his decision and express his happiness. My world was crumbling around me. But the love and trust I once had for him shattered in an instant. I knew the upcoming days would be filled with turmoil and heartbreak as I tried to make sense of my life. Suddenly, I was filled with anger.
But sex, this angry, how could you do this to me? What? After everything we've been through, you betrayed me with my own sister. Get out of this house right now.
Defensive. Susie, I'm sorry, but I can't just leave. We need to talk this through and find a way to move forward. Here, I want you to be happy.
Firmly no, Mark. There's nothing left to talk about. You've shattered our trust, our marriage. I can't bear to look at you anymore. Pack your things and go.
Susie, this isn't fair.
I don't want to hear it. Get out.
As I stood there, watching Mark gather his things, a whirlwind of emotions consumed me. Anger, betrayal, and sadness intertwined. I admit that I felt a little sorry for myself. Mark finished packing and headed towards the door.
Softly, Susie. I'm truly sorry for what I've done. I never meant to hurt you like this. I hope someday you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
You need to leave immediately.
As Mark walked away from our home, the reality of my situation sank in. I was alone, betrayed by the person I thought I could trust the most. Betrayed by my own family. I crumbled to the floor, engulfed in tears. How was I going to survive this? And if I survived, how would I move forward? Would I be able to love again? Later that night, my mom decided to chime in to salt my wounds.
Hey, Susie. Just thought you should know that I've won. Bark is mine now, and there's nothing you can do about it.
He'll be our slave for life, and you'll never be happy again. You'll never escape me. My heart sank again as I read the message. Could this really be happening? And how could my own mother be so cruel? How could she be so cruel? But take pleasure in someone else's pain and use Lucy to steal Mark away. It's despicable. What had I done to deserve a mom like this?
Your actions may have caused pain, but they won't define me. I refuse to let you poison my life any longer.
This was your last chance. Mark may be gone, but I am stronger than ever. I will find my happiness, and it won't be dependent on anyone else. I blocked her after that. It was to be the last time I ever spoke to my mom. Just one day later, an unexpected surprise came my way. I was sitting in the living room when there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, I was surprised to find Mark standing there. 3 days later, there's a knock on the door. Susie opens it to find Mark standing there, his face filled with anger and frustration. Mark, what are you doing here? I thought we had settled everything. If we need to speak, it can be through our lawyers. Please leave.
Don't play down with me. Susie. Why didn't you, here, Sottle, why didn't you tell me your mom was insane?
Ari didn't know. What are they up to?
OC is demanding access to my bank account. Bonnie won't leave us alone for a second, and she treats me like a whipping boy. I'm losing my mind.
Oh, Mark, that's terrible.
How could you keep such a crucial piece of information from me? Susie, you knew your mother was mentally ill, and yet you didn't say a word.
Mutt, I tried to warn you. I've been dealing with my mother's illness for years, and Lucy has only ever made things worse.
I didn't want us to be dragged back into that chaos. But you wouldn't listen.
Buck was shocked. Your look of regret passed over his face. Christy and Bonnie are making my life a living hell. And that money your mom promised is nowhere to be found. He tricked me.
I wanted to protect you. And I thought that by keeping this from you, I could shield you from the pain and turmoil of my broken family. But I guess I was wrong.
Susie, please. I was wrong. Take me back. I'll do anything you ask.
I admit, there was a part of me that wanted to say yes when I heard these words. But I couldn't forget everything that had happened.
Mark, you've betrayed me and our marriage. There's nothing left for us. I'm sorry this happened to you, but this is goodbye.
Mark tried bargaining with me, getting angry with me, and finally pleading with me. However, I was sure I had to stand firm. I was tired of being a doormat and letting people walk all over me. In the end, Mark left me alone and we had an amicable divorce. I resolved to cut my mom out of my life once and for all. The universe had given me a tough lesson in the need to stand up for myself. Well, it was terrible at the time. I've managed to start a new life. I've taken a new job, moved to a new country, and even fallen in love. I'm all set to be married again later this year. I'm looking forward to this next chapter of my life and have never been happier. Hello, people. I'm Avery, and this is the story of my entitled in-laws. When choosing your life partner, you should always consider the red flags. I failed to do so and had to face this situation. I hope my story inspires you to get out of a toxic relationship before it's too late. You see, me and my husband always had a strong relationship. Or that's what I always thought. We met in a bar on one of my nights out. He was a very charismatic person, and I fell for his charms immediately. At that time, I was single and desperately looking for a partner. My parents lived in a different country, and I was studying at a prestigious university here. Kent was born and raised in the USA. When we started dating, Bent told me that he was working at his father's business. I later learned that this was a lie. About 1 year later, Bent revealed to me that he was actually working a minimum wage job at Wendy's. I was pretty shocked about the revelation because I didn't know why he lied to me. He simply cried and said, "I'm so sorry. Avery, you see, my family and I are very poor. My father left us to fend for ourselves. Mom tried hard, but she had 2 other children to take care of. I cannot afford to go to college or get a good job. But why did you lie to me, Ken? In fact, I wouldn't have found out if I hadn't pressed for your office address."
You are such an intelligent person. Avery, you have a bright future ahead of you. I thought you won't be with a loser like me, so I lied.
So Ken, I don't think you're a loser. I would never insult you like that. I'm proud that you take care of your family. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Kent was super apologetic, and I decided to forgive him. I could understand his perspective and wanted to look past this one mistake. I didn't know that he was a manipulative man and a compulsive liar. He was a great boyfriend and showed affection, but he seemed to be very unmotivated in life. Well, I was working hard to excel in my studies and did nothing to get a better job. In fact, most of the time, it was me who was paying for our dates. I didn't mind paying then because I was also working a side job. However, after some time, it was like I paid for all of his meals. One day I asked him about why he was so stuck in one place. I said, "Ant, don't you think you should find a better job? You have the experience and won't have to search for long."
I am happy at my work. Avery, why do I need a better job? You having trouble adjusting with my income?
No, it's not that. Folks, I just want the best for you. I've tried to be supportive, but you need better plans for our future.
Who's saying of having me as your boyfriend? I didn't know you could be mean. I already told you. I don't have much.
You earn enough for us to go on dates. What more do you want? It's not fair that I am paying for the majority of the things. I know you have family problems, but that should motivate you to look for a better job.
Fine, if you insist so much.
He promised to improve his position at work, but he never did. Whenever I asked him how his job hunting was going, he came up with excuses. I was getting frustrated, but again, looked past it. After all, I wasn't with him for money. I also tried to sympathize with him because my parents were wealthy and we didn't have financial troubles as much. He continued our relationship, and eventually it was time for me to graduate. I got a very high-paying job as soon as my studies were over. I worked hard to get good grades, so getting a job was easy. Bent was really happy for me, but sometimes made very snide comments. I also started to see that Kent was slowly leaving the bulk of our expenses on me. We couldn't move in together because he lived with his mom, and also didn't have enough money to pay rent on his own. I felt really bad for him and said, "Bent, if you really want to move in with me, I can cover your rent for a few months. I need to get my own place now that I have graduated. So, I can cover the whole rent for a few months. But during this time, you can look for a better job."
Can you do that for me? I'm positive you solves a question, so I'm positive because you positive I will find a better job this time. If you give me the time, I will definitely land a good job. I will start applying right away.
I will be happy to help you. Thanks. But you have to be more serious about finding a job. You cannot slack off like the last time.
It won't happen again. It won't happen again. Avery, I promise.
With his reassurance, we moved into a new place. It was small, but we made it work. The rent was pretty expensive, but I was ready to pay most of it, even after Kent got a better job. However, Kent never really got a better job. In fact, a week after we moved in, he told me he was quitting.
I hate my job. Avery, I put in my notice. I don't want to go to that cheap place anymore.
You've been so supportive, and I am already looking for a job, so I don't have to work there anymore. Kent, why did you make this decision without consulting me? We just moved in together. You need to have a job offer lined up before you quit.
Relax. I haven't shall. I will get one very soon. Mom is already taking care of my siblings, so I couldn't ask her for help.
But you can support me for a few months. You have the money and the job. It's unfair for you to assume this. Donations. You should have discussed it with me.
So you don't want to support me? I didn't know you could be so selfish. Dear, I was looking for a better job for us.
And now you refuse to support me anymore. I feel betrayed. When he said that, I immediately felt like I was at fault. I did say I could pay his share while he looks for a better job. However, I didn't think he would just quit out of the blue. And was super mad at me and didn't talk to me for a week. I loved him so much that I apologized to him. I also told him that I will financially support him as long as he needs. During this time, he also took me to meet his family. His family consisted of his mother, Patricia, and 2 siblings, Exon and Penny. Patricia was super sweet towards me, but it kinda felt like she was trying too hard. His siblings basically ignored me and were busy doing their own things. In fact, they never even said hi. But when we got down for dinner, Patricia made some very weird comments about our financial situation. She said, I did say I could pay his share while he looks for a better job. However, I didn't think he would just quit out of the blue. Kent was super mad at me and didn't talk to me for a week. I loved him so much that I apologized to him. I also told him that I will financially support him as long as he needs. Early during this time, he also took me to meet his family. His family consisted of his mother, Patricia, and 2 siblings, Axon and Penny. Patricia was super sweet towards me, but it kind of felt like she was trying too hard. His siblings basically ignored me and were busy doing their own things. In fact, they never even said hi. But when we got down for dinner, Patricia made some very weird comments about our financial situation. She said,
"It is so nice of you to support Kent. You can see we're very poor and cannot afford fancy college degrees, but your parents were blessed to have a college fund for you. It's actually very fair you take care of him."
"What do you mean?" "Patricia, I'm only paying his rent temporarily. Kent is already looking for a better job so that he earns a good pay."
"But I'm sure you will look after him if he can't get a good job. Don't you? I'll pay. I mean, clearly you can afford it."
I was pretty puzzled by the entire conversation and felt like Patricia was mocking me. I also didn't like how Kent just nonchalantly told his mother that I will take care of him. All this didn't sit very well with me. When I asked Kent about it, he simply shrugged and said that I was thinking too much. I didn't know any better and chose to take his word for it. But the months passed and Kent was nowhere near to finding a good job. He didn't even manage to secure an interview. I ended up finding various job ads and sending them to him. Kent assured me that he reached out but was rejected. One day, I found out that there was an opening in my company. It was a warehouse job, but paid much better than Wendy's. When I told Kent, he said he would apply. However, he never ended up applying. It was when I asked our hiring manager about his application that I found out what he had done. The manager told me that they never received an application in his name. I was completely confused and thought he had misplaced the application. However, when I asked Kent, he said I didn't apply for the job. Avery, I never sent my application. What? But it was a great opportunity. Don't Kent. I would have even put in a word with the hiring manager.
I don't want to work there. Avery, but you're in such a high position. People would make fun of me. They would think you are better than me.
Don't be ridiculous. Miss Kent, you needed this job. It paid so much better than your last one. You don't even have anything lined up.
Actually, I don't think I want to work right now. Too draining and it's bad for my mental health.
At Spolplation, I think I am taking care of the house just fine. It's better this way. Kent. I'm managing somehow right now. We will need another income to have good savings. Things can't go on like this for long.
Don't you have any respect for my mental health? I thought you loved me. You just want me to be happy. Being in a low-level job makes me unhappy.
After this, there is nothing I could say. It was true that I could support the both of us. He was also doing most of the household chores. It was nice having someone home. But my savings were thin and the future didn't look very bright either. Nonetheless, I agreed to support him for a little longer. His well-being was more important to me than material wealth. But with no other option in hand, I agreed to be the breadwinner. Whatever little doubt I had vanished when he proposed, I was over the moon. That proposal was super romantic and exactly how I wanted. I knew I loved this man and wanted to be with him forever. So, I said yes. I even paid for the small wedding we had at a friend's property. We couldn't invite a lot of people, but we were happy. However, things soon turned sour after the wedding. He was still unemployed and had no intentions of looking for a job. I was okay with that until he even stopped doing chores around the house. Plus, all he did was play video games. After my work hours, I was spending the entire night doing chores and cleaning up his messes. His siblings were over often and would clean up the pantry when I was gone. It was difficult to keep up with the expenses. I even sat him down and had a talk about it. I said, "Kent, you are not helping with the chores anymore. I'm already very tired when I come home from work. You need to help out more."
I am already doing enough. Avery, you shouldn't complain so much. Or it gets tiring working at the house.
You can't expect me to do everything for you. But you are not even helping out. Doug, you've Jackson and Penny over every week. They just leave messes and eat everything in the pantry. It costs me a lot to bring in extra food. My savings are already dwindling.
Stop complaining so much. You can take up an extra job if you want, 'cause you earn a lot, and it won't hurt to share with my family. And so, they need the money more than you.
Though, Kent, I can take care of you, but this is too much. Your siblings are adults now. They can pay for their own food and entertainment. Ben just kept arguing with me and calling me selfish. He thinks that his family is a package deal. No matter what I say, it always boils down to me being privileged and entitled, and never considered that I had to work and study hard for my job. It wasn't handed to me on a silver platter. I called up his mom and talked about the issue. I genuinely thought she could drill some sense into him. Patricia was a hardworking woman. I knew she would help. However, she said, "Avery, you know my son doesn't have a fancy degree. The one would give him a good job. It's selfish of you to force him to work. We are your family now. It's normal that you have to deal with us. Stop being so damn selfish." Patricia, I know he finds it hard to get a good job. But it's not the end of the world to work a dignified job. I'm fine with whatever he earns. He just needs to help me out. He doesn't even take care of the house anymore.
Oh my god. Avery, he is a man. Men don't do household chores. It is your job as his wife. You are being so controlling. I can't believe he married you. If you love my son even a little, you will stop being such a horrible wife.
My conversation with Patricia went nowhere. In fact, I was appalled that she supported his wrongdoings. I felt like I was stuck in a toxic relationship. No one was supporting me. After some time, I started to believe that I was wrong. Then even started to love bomb me after a few days. He promised to do better and help me out sometimes. Still, there was a creeping doubt in my mind. I thought things might get worse. And it sure did after a month. It was pretty late when I went home from work. I noticed Patricia's car in the driveway. I was a little confused because she rarely showed up. As I walked into the house, I saw that even Jackson and Penny were present. They looked at me a little weird and told me to sit down. When I did, Kent said, "There is something that we need to talk about. It's time we finally do the right thing." "What are you talking about?" "Our lease will be up next month. We will need a new place to stay. Penny is an adult now, and all of us need separate rooms. So, we were thinking it's about time you get a new place so that we can move in. Our lease also ends next month." Avery, we were thinking about getting a bigger place. One that would be big enough for all of us. So you need to look for a new property. They will be staying with us now. Are you serious? You want to pay for your whole family now? Patricia, are you even going to contribute anything? Of course not. My son will never charge us rent. It is your responsibility to take care of us. You are the breadwinner after all. I want a separate room, by the way. My boyfriend will be over every week. We need some privacy. Same goes for me. I will have the boys over every Saturday for our weekly parties. You need to get a bigger fridge for the extra munchies. It will be so nice to have the family together. Avery can finally put her salary to good use. I think you can take up another job. That way you can have a better lifestyle. It's time you fulfill your responsibilities and provide us with a good life. Okay, then I'll see what I can do. I was absolutely stunned by what they said. After they kept babbling about their demands, I started to get mad, and not only sprung this one on me, but also refused to get a job. He expected me to house his mother and his two very adult kids. It was like I was their slave and their cash cow. However, I was completely done with this family. Hell, I was even done with Kent. So, I came up with a plan. First, I assured them that I would figure something out. Then, I got them out of the house. I talked to Kent in hopes of salvaging at least some of my marriage. However, he was adamant that I had to shoulder his responsibilities and take care of everyone. At that point, I knew there was no coming back. So, I called my parents and asked to move back home. They knew about my trouble and agreed immediately. Next, I put in a request for transfer at work. I knew they had an opening in my home country. It was all the incentive I needed. Slowly, I planned the move. But only my name was on our lease, so ending the agreement was smooth. The landlord was super cooperative and even agreed not to tell Kent anything when the month was close to an end. I booked a ticket back home. I didn't tell anyone. I simply upped and left. After reaching my parents' house, I was bombarded with calls from Kent. When I picked up, he said,
Who the hell are you? Or your suitcase is gone, and the landlord is telling me to empty the house. What is going on?
I'm back in my home country. Oh, Kent, we're away from you for good. You and your family can look for a new house all by yourselves.
You're not making any sense. What have you done?
I have ended the rental agreement with the landlord. You are now free to move to your big house. However, I will no longer pay for it. It's time to take your sorry ass to work. I will come back only for the divorce. Don't worry, you won't get a cent out of me.
No, he can't do that. He can't make us homeless. You are a selfish woman. Come back and make this right.
I demand you return. There is no way I will sign the divorce papers. Oh, we will see about that. Did that. I just hung up on him. He never stopped calling or texting me. Yet within a short time, even his mother and siblings kept pestering me. The calls and texts kept on coming even after a week. 1 week later, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Patricia begging me for help. She told me that they were homeless. They never renewed the lease, thinking that I would take care of the housing. Thus, with no money to their name, they were living out of their cars. Patricia kept begging me to come back and do the right thing. They needed me and were having a hard time with their financial situation. And tried to get a new job, but no one would accept his application. It would take them months to even find suitable jobs for Kent and the siblings. Akin sent me voicemails from unknown numbers to try and win me back. I simply blocked them all. I'm actually doing a lot better in my old home. My parents have retired and love having me near them. They never liked Kent, and now I know exactly why. A titular date, and even promised to look up a good lawyer and talk about the divorce. I will eventually go back to finalize the divorce, but for now, I'm taking things slow. First, the calls and texts from Kent and his family stopped coming, as they were too broke to even get a phone connection. I didn't care. I'm finally free from my toxic husband and living life afresh. I'm Rowan, and I'm 27 years old. I remember when I first met my wife, the love of my life, there was an instant connection between us. We were drawn to each other's energy, shared interests, and the genuine love we had for each other. Fiona was beautiful, smart, and had a contagious zest for life. We were both ready to embark on this exciting journey together, blissfully unaware of the challenges that awaited us. Things were great between Fiona and me, but I could sense tension whenever her parents, Carol and Philip, were around. They held classist views and couldn't fully accept me into their high society bubble. You see, I didn't come from a wealthy background as Fiona did. I had to work hard for everything I had, and my upbringing was quite different from theirs. The first time we all sat down for dinner, I could feel their judgmental eyes scrutinizing me, subtly making snide comments about my less-than lavish lifestyle. They seemed cordial and friendly at first, creating an illusion of acceptance and warmth. But little did I know that their true colors would be revealed once they realized that I didn't come from money. I remember that day like it was yesterday. as we sat around the table engaging in small talk. I could sense their curiosity about me, their daughter's chosen partner. And the conversation flowed smoothly until the topic of my background and profession came up. That was as if a shift occurred in the atmosphere, and their tone subtly changed. Errol, with an artificial smile plastered on her face, asked so, "Rowan, what do you do for a living?" I work as a graphic designer. I've always had a passion for creativity and expressing myself through art. There was a momentary pause, and I could see the flicker of disappointment in their eyes. Philip chimed in, trying to conceal his judgment with false enthusiasm. "Graphic design, huh? That's quite different from our line of work." I couldn't help but notice the condescending tone in his voice. It was clear to me that they had certain expectations and assumptions about the kind of man Fiona should be with. A man who shared their lavish lifestyle and their exclusive circle of privilege. Yeah, I've always been drawn to the world of art and design. It allows me to bring ideas to life and create visually engaging experiences. It must be a challenging field, especially financially. Are you able to make a comfortable living? Well, it definitely has its ups and downs, but I enjoy the work and find it fulfilling. Plus, I believe in the power of pursuing one's passions rather than solely focusing on financial gains. Mom, Dad, can we please not judge Rowan based on his career or financial status? He's an incredible person, and I love him for who he is, not what he does. Oh, Fiona, we're just trying to understand his situation. It's important to consider these things, especially for your future together. I understand your concerns, but I believe that happiness and fulfillment go beyond just wealth and status. It's about shared values, love, and supporting each other's dreams. Oh, darling, that's what all the poor people say. Realizing that it was too late to retract her offhand comment, there was an awkward silence. Fiona, sensing the tension, attempted to divert the conversation. "Just so you know, no, Bowen isn't that poor, and even if he was, I'd want to be with him still. Anyways, let's order some more drinks." We continued with dinner as best as we could, but I felt like the night had already been sullied. But it was at that moment that I realized their preconceived notions about wealth and status were deeply ingrained. No matter how genuine my intentions or how deeply I cared for Annette, I would never fully fit into their ideal mold of a suitable partner for their daughter. Yet, I refused to let their judgment define me or overshadow the love Fiona and I shared. I would prove to them, through my actions and the way I treated Fiona, that true worth lies in the content of one's character and not in their bank account. Little did I know that this encounter would be the catalyst for a series of events that would test the strength of our relationship and lead us down a path of self-discovery and resilience. But that's a story for another time, filled with triumphs, growth, and the unwavering bond between Fiona and me. Fiona, to her credit, always stood up for me. After the awful dinner, we'd still meet all together to continue getting to know each other, obviously. And when her parents, with increasing shamelessness, Might add he would make comments on my status or financial security. Fiona would berate her parents for their snarky remarks and defended our love against their elitist attitudes. It was evident that she was caught between the love for her family and the love for me, and it wasn't an easy position for her to be in. When I finally introduced my father, as Arlo, to Fiona's parents, their true colors shone through. I thought their disdain was pretty evident before, but boy, I was in for a surprise. My dad had always been a free-spirited soul, unburdened by the trappings of societal expectations. He had a disheveled appearance, but his warm smile and genuine kindness made up for any superficial judgments. Burley burst into laughter, unable to comprehend the beauty that existed beyond appearances. However, when Carol and Philip saw him, they literally burst into laughter, unable to comprehend the beauty that existed beyond appearances. Arlo, unaffected by their mockery, simply smiled and refused to engage in their negativity.
Oh, you must be Arlo. Anna's father-in-law. It's lovely to finally meet you.
Pleasure's all mine. Daryl, Kelly, Fiona and Rowan have told me so much about you and Philip.
Looking at Arlo up and down, well, quite the unconventional appearance you've got.
Thank you for the compliment. Flint, I've always believed in embracing my own unique style. Life's too short to conform to societal expectations, wouldn't you agree? I'm a bit of an artist myself, so I prioritize expressing myself.
Arlo, you're quite the character. It's refreshing to see someone so carefree.
Mom!
Did I say carefree? I meant to say carefree.
How playfully carefree is right. As Carol, life's too precious to worry about appearances. I find joy in the simple things and believe in being true to myself.
Snicker. But we can see that, can't we? How, Carol? Be quite a departure from our usual gatherings.
Dad, please.
Maintaining his composure. We're all different in our own ways, so... Ounce layer. It's what makes life interesting. Tier diversity brings new perspectives and opportunities for growth.
Mom, Dad, please remember to be respectful. Arlo is a wonderful person, and I'm proud to have him as my father.
Oh, my dear, we're just having a little fun. No harm intended.
Still smiling. There's no worries. Daciana, I'm used to it. Ed life has taught me to focus on the good and let go of the rest.
It hurt to see the people I loved, my wife and my father, being subjected to such disrespect. A part of me wanted to lash out in anger and seek revenge for the pain they had caused us, but I just didn't know how. I mean, they were bigger than me in every way. They could easily destroy me if I exposed them as classists. And worse still, that would mean that Fiona and I would probably have to end things, and that's the last thing I wanted. Eventually, after falling deeper and deeper in love with the love of my life, I proposed. It wasn't anything lavish or extravagant. It was simple, but it was genuine. I had informed friends and family about the proposal because I knew that I wanted us to have a little celebration with all of our loved ones once she said yes. I noticed as my dad and my soon-to-be mother-in-law and father-in-law were coming in contact more often, that the comments on my father and my less than lavish lifestyle were something that was like really rubbing them the wrong way. The tension had steadily been rising throughout the months of wedding preparation. I wanted to blame Philip and Carol's increased insensitivity due to the stresses and pressures of organizing a wedding, but what happened at dinner one night at their house, when we were still prepping for the wedding, acted as a catalyst for what would later on take place on my wedding day. The night went like this. So wedding preparations are in full swing, hon? I can't believe how fast time flies.
Yes, it's certainly an exciting time. We're all looking forward to the big day.
The last action scenario, she's hoping won't have any surprises like Darlo showing up in his usual attire.
Oh, come on, guys. Can't we focus on the love and happiness of the occasion instead of how we dress?
Exactly. Are you? This is a celebration of love, and it's important to embrace each other's uniqueness.
There was an awkward silence with Carol and Philip claiming to be joking once more. But Fiona, my dad, and I were certainly getting tired of their jokes. So, thanks to Carol and Philip, we've been looking at some wedding vendors and catering options. Do you have any recommendations?
Oh, Owen. I'm sure your father has some unconventional ideas in mind, for the wedding. So, perhaps we should hire a wandering troubadour to serenade the guests.
Or yes, and instead of a grand feast, we can serve artisan kale smoothies. Arlo would appreciate that, wouldn't he?
Actually, Dad has a unique sense of style and free-spirited nature. We respect and love him, just the way he is. Excuse me, but I find it disrespectful that you continue to make jokes at my father's expense. He's a wonderful person, and his individuality is what makes him special. Mom, Dad, it's not just a joke. These jokes have been going on for months now, and it's getting tiring, honestly. Though Arlo is an important part of our lives, and we won't tolerate any disrespect towards him. It's not about being touchy, it's about treating our loved ones with kindness and acceptance. I expect you to show the same respect to Arlo as you would to anyone else.
You better watch how you talk to me, boy. I'll remind you of who's paying for all this.
Really? Dad? That's such a rotten thing to say.
Darling, let's face the facts here, all right? Let us have a little bit of fun if we have to put up with this. She gestured to both my dad and me, implying that we're such an inconvenience to them, that they need to make jokes at our expense to cope with all of the stress of not wedding planning, but just being in our presence. The room falls silent, tension hanging in the air. Carol and Philip exchange uncomfortable glances, realizing the impact of their remarks.
That's alright, yeah. Owen, let's focus on the joy of your upcoming wedding. Love will always triumph over judgments and differences.
His words resonated, a gentle reminder of the power of love and understanding to overcome adversity. The atmosphere gradually lightened up, and the conversation drifted towards more positive aspects of wedding planning, leaving behind the insensitive comments that had marred the evening. Although those thoughts were disregarded, they definitely weren't forgotten. As the wedding day approached, the final touches were being put in place, and the anticipation grew. Fiona and I were beaming with excitement, ready to embark on this new chapter of our lives together. The venue was adorned with flowers, and the seating arrangements were meticulously planned. Everything seemed to fall into place. As I stood in front of the mirror on my wedding day adjusting my tie, I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was it, the moment I had been waiting for. Just then, my dad walked into the room wearing his beloved lucky suit. It was an old, slightly worn-out suit he used to wear during his singing days, but it held sentimental value for him, and honestly, I might be biased, but he looked really good in it. It looked like one of those eccentric fashion pieces that are on the runway.
What do you think, son? Do you like it?
Isn't that my line? Nah, I'm playing. That Timmy Trenter. It's perfect. As long as you feel comfortable, wear whatever makes you happy. It's your presence that truly matters. His face lit up with gratitude, knowing he had our approval. He had always been his own person, unapologetically embracing his individuality. I admired him for that. The wedding ceremony was a breathtaking affair. The sun shone brightly as Fiona and I exchanged our vows, promising to support and love each other unconditionally. It was a moment filled with joy and overwhelming emotions. We were surrounded by our loved ones, celebrating our union. As the reception kicked off, the atmosphere became lively with music, laughter, and heartfelt speeches. Guests were dancing and enjoying themselves amidst the cheer. I couldn't help but notice Carol and Philip's disapproving glances at Arlo and his choice of attire. Unbeknownst to them, I overheard their remarks.
Do believe he's wearing that shabby suit. Posing so out of place at this beautiful wedding.
I thought you would at least make an effort to dress appropriately. Oh, it's so embarrassing. I'll just tell the news reporters and photographers to not focus on him, I think.
And despite their disapproval, I chose to focus on the love and happiness that filled the room. My beautiful wife looks as gorgeous as ever. My dad, clad in his lucky suit, mingled with guests, sharing stories and laughter. He was unbothered by the judgment, radiating his unique charm. As the evening progressed, Carol and Philip continued their snarky comments, barely masking their disdain for my background. It was as if they were determined to belittle my father at every turn. Each comment cut deeper, and I couldn't ignore their classist views any longer. I confided in Fiona, sharing my frustration and anger. She was furious, unsurprisingly ready to confront her parents about their behavior. But I stopped her, knowing that I had a plan of my own that would make a lasting impact. It was time for me to address Carol and Philip directly. I pulled them aside, away from the prying eyes of the other guests. I looked them both in the eye, my voice steady but filled with determination.
What's your problem? Oh, this is a momentous day for Fiona and me, and all I can sense from you both is contempt and disrespect. Here to explain.
Daryl and Philip exchanged a glance before Carol responded, her voice dripping with disdain.
Homegirl one, don't act so naive. We had high expectations for this day. We thought your father would put in more effort, at least try to fit in with our social circles. And now I do. You know what? Your elitism and disrespect won't go unnoticed.
Asriel, when we can get behind you being a poor graphic designer, maybe there's some hope there. But your father, he's hopeless. He looks so ungroomed, it's just disgusting.
And it says a lot for him to show up like this on such a marvelous, occasion. I'm sick of his dirty boy aesthetic.
Except by this time, the chitter-chatter of the reception hall came to a complete standstill, and noticing this, and Carol and Philip also stopped to slowly realize that everybody heard their comments. That's because I led them near enough to the DJ booth, and I discreetly took a mic and placed it on the table, facing their direction. The hall was at a standstill, save for the news reporters and photographers from the local tabloids, who were furiously writing down what they heard and snapping pictures respectively.
Some of your love for tarnishing my good father's name made you unaware of your surroundings?
Hey, to get that thing away from me.
Carol grabbed the mic and furiously switched it off, and Philip sent me daggers. They were both muttering something about paying off the press to keep quiet about their elitist, classist comments, but this was far from over. I grabbed another mic and said, "Good evening, my good people. Thanks once again for sharing this beautiful occasion with me and my wife. Baby, I promise to give you everything that I can, and I'll start by sharing something that's been a little secret for some time. Eldstead Dad, come on up here and do your thing." Brit with a mix of surprise and cheer coming from the crowd. My father made his way to the stage, and he got the mic, briefly introduced himself, and began his performance. What a lot of people fail to realize is that my father is an artist. He loved painting and photography, but he mainly enjoyed singing. And that's what he did. He opened his mouth and began to belt out one of the ballads he'd written in preparation for my wedding. Fiona began crying tears of joy, and the hall was silenced with reverence and respect. Sometimes I forget that for some people, hearing my dad sing is like hearing an angel sing. I was just so used to it at this point, but even though I was used to it, it didn't suggest that his voice was nothing short of perfect. The photographers who initially came due to the status and wealth of Carol and Philip began to record and snap my father. People also pulled out their phones and began recording. Fiona and I began dancing to the song, relishing such a perfectly unique experience that from the corner of my eye, I would take a peek now and then to see people's reactions, and everyone's jaw appeared to be on the floor. They just couldn't fathom that this simple-looking man, who dressed a bit eccentrically, had such a rich and booming voice. I also peered at Carol and Philip, who were also just as surprised as everyone else, but they seemed to look angry. Once my dad was finished with his glorious song, the crowd erupted in applause. Everyone was hooting and hollering, with several photographers and journalists coming to attack my dad with questions and pictures. Everyone was probably thinking this, but Fiona was the first to verbalize it. Before I could answer, my dad decided to say, thank you all. Your kindness and love are heavily appreciated. as I was being swarmed by these lovely reporters and media people, a reoccurring, "I didn't know that your dad could sing so well. He made me cry the entire time. Why isn't he famous? Thank you all. Your kindness and love are heavily appreciated."
As I was being sworn by these lovely reporters and media people, recurring question came up, why don't we know who you are? And, what are you famous? Which is, I mean, everyone, folks, believe it or not, some people don't see fame and money like that. Very content with my life as an ungrimmings and a disgusting individual, as some people like to put it. Everyone turned to Carol and Philip with angry and disappointed looks. They subsequently cowered and blushed in embarrassment. As for me, I'm more than content living a peaceful, slow, and unwealthy lifestyle.
I decided to chime in, joining my father on stage and saying, "I would just like to say, folks, that there are certain people here tonight who prioritize elitism and money so much that they've loved their souls to the glitz and glam. But I hope you leave this event knowing that you're allowed to pursue happiness in any form you'd like. Don't let anyone make you feel less than, just because they don't care about having a heart." The crowd whooped and cheered. They were all praising my father and me for our commitment to our authenticity as simple folk. Till Carol and Philip approached Fiona, and from afar I could tell that they were upset, expecting her to do. But my beautiful wife didn't even respond to them. She walked away and joined my father and me up on stage, and we spent the rest of the night dancing. People for Carol and Philip scurried off to someplace quiet. They were bombarded by the journalists and photographers who came for them, trying to avoid answering for their crimes. Let's just say that there wasn't enough hush money they could throw at 300 people who attended my wedding. The Crincy or Fieldsberg, their behavior was already buzzing on social media, and they were sufficiently embarrassed. Ever since that day, I haven't heard a single elitist classes comment from them. Alright y'all, buckle up because I'm about to spill the tea on this crazy roller coaster ride I've been through. Let me tell you, life hasn't been a walk in the park for me the past couple of years. It all started when I married Jared, the man of my dreams, or so I thought. Little did I know that his family would become the nightmare I never signed up for. Greta, my mother-in-law, seemed like a sweet lady at first, but damn was I wrong. You see underneath that fake smile, she had a dark side that would make any hard metal song seem like a lullaby. And don't even get me started on Todd, my father-in-law. He was your classic creepy old man, always giving me the side eye and making inappropriate comments that made my skin crawl. It was like living in a twisted episode of a reality show gone wrong. The breaking point came shortly after marrying Jared when Todd, powered by liquid courage and a twisted sense of entitlement. The breaking point came shortly after marrying Jared, when Todd, powered by liquid courage and a twisted sense of entitlement, made a disgusting, inappropriate advance towards me. I was shocked, disgusted, and outraged. I mustered up the courage to tell Jared and Greta about what had happened, thinking they would have my back. But oh no, they didn't. Instead, they gaslit me, brushed it off, and labeled me as some sort of attention-seeking drama queen. Can you believe the audacity? Anybody who has been in my position understands how hurtful it is to not be believed, and I couldn't escape it since this was my literal family. Some of you free-spirited ladies must be saying, "Girl, why didn't you leave?" And I've been trying to answer that same question myself, to be Unfortunately, though, I stayed. And boy, oh boy, did that turn out to be a mistake. And from that moment on, the trust between Jared and me shattered into a million pieces. We fought like cats and dogs, each argument pushing us closer to the edge of divorce. I couldn't believe my own husband wouldn't stand up for me, wouldn't believe me when I was telling the goddamn truth. This years went by, and the arguing decreased, but because we didn't officially solve anything, there was tension in the house. Obviously, because of what I told Greta and Jared that day, and because of their inability to believe me, it was left out on a lot of family gatherings and events. It made me sick, knowing that Todd was getting away with everything while I became the outcast. My sadness and frustration turned into purebred anger, and I began to plot my revenge. Let me tell you, revenge is a dish best served cold, and this Latina knows how to keep it icy. I decided that I wasn't going to let these people tear me down. All right, listen up, because this is where things get really juicy. So there I was, PTD, feeling trapped in this suffocating snare of dysfunction. Divorce seemed like the only way out, but let's be real. I was a simple housewife without fancy degrees or a fat bank account. Leaving Jared would mean leaving with next to nothing. You see, better I wanted more than just alimony, and I wasn't about to let those conniving snakes win with a simple divorce. Night. I racked my brain, trying to come up with a plan to get back at them, to show them that I wasn't just some damsel in distress waiting to be rescued. But to show them that what happened to me was real. That every idea that popped into my head seemed too tame, too predictable. I needed something epic, something that would make them regret ever doubting and discarding me. And then it hit me like a Cardi beep drop. Jared's phone? I knew he was the type to keep secrets locked away in that little device of his. So one night, while he was snoring away like a hibernating bear, I seized the opportunity. Getley placed his thumb on the phone's sensor, unlocking it without a hitch. And just like that, I had access to a treasure trove of information. I dug through his texts, his emails, and his digital footprints, searching for any evidence that could be my ticket to vengeance. And boy, did I strike gold. There, nestled between messages about mundane daily tasks, were conversations between Jared and my mother-in-law. They were talking about something that sent shivers down my spine. They were planning to move Greta and Todd into our very own home. I was fuming. How dare they? What reason did they want to move into our house, you ask? Because they wanted to be closer to Jared and me, to amend the relationship that had been broken for so long. Let me tell you, I could smell the lies from a mile away. But want to know how I knew it was all bull? Because it turns out that it was nasty, dirty, dusty, crusty, musty old Todd who had the idea in the first place. I knew that Slimeball thought it was time for him to commence his second offense, since he thought so much time had passed, and that no one would believe me yet again. He's a dog. I tell you. No, even though I was livid, you all should know I'm not the type to go crazy just like that. I realized that I could use this to my advantage. It had been a couple of months since my discovery, and things were moving faster and faster. I'd been checking Jared's phone from time to time, updating myself on the plans for Greta and Todd to move in, and the days were slowly approaching. I also found out in those texts that Jared was planning on springing this newses up on me. Can you imagine? The nerve. It did not matter because I had a plan. The next day, I got to work. I put on something nice, set the lights down low, lit some candles, put on some smooth jazz, and welcomed my husband home. He was surprised to see the house in such a relaxing and calming mood. Guess he wasn't used to this, since we would normally do our own thing when he got home. Hey babe, welcome home. I've been planning a little surprise for you. Come in, take a load off, and soak up this cozy atmosphere. Wow, babe, what's all this? I'm scared. Scared of what, babe? I'm doing something nice for you. Well, I guess I'm just surprised as all. Babe, don't be like that. I did all of this for you. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Wow, you've outdone yourself, baby. It feels like I just stepped into a romantic movie scene.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Wow, you've outdone yourself, baby. It feels like I just stepped into a romantic movie scene.
Well, Ali, you've been working your butt off and I wanted to spoil you a bit. In Shupatram. You deserve it, my hardworking man.
Oh, thanks, babe. Must know how to make me feel special. So what's the treat? Els Admiral,
I'm going to give you the most relaxing foot massage ever. I've got some special oils lined up to work their magic on those tired feet of yours.
Oh, you know me so well, baby. The treat of foot massage sounds heavenly right now.
Of course, my dear. Let me work my magic and make you feel like a king. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the royal treatment. He complied, feeling princely and regal. He sat down, and I knew that I had to begin my attack now. I got to work, washing his feet intentionally and massaging them slowly and soothingly. He groaned in appreciation.
Enough. I heard. Some always admire your confidence and intelligence. Sometimes I feel like I can't keep up with all the smart people things. AIs are chatting.
Oh, come on, baby. You're plenty smart. Don't sell yourself short. Oh, but I mean, you didn't even finish college.
Actually, there's sometimes I feel like I'm no good at anything.
That's okay, baby. Gotta let you out, so you've got me to lean on.
Yes, babe. You're so reliable and kind. And you're so smart.
As always, I am pretty smart, aren't I?
I'll be the smartest Pokey.
Bother you, babe, you're spoiling me too much. But go on.
I'm so grateful that I married such a smart, strong, handsome man. How's you? You always take care of me, baby.
Just doing my job, babe.
And you're the best at it. I swear, no one else could do what you do. I've been trying to sign something for a minute, and I'm a bit confused. Can you help me? He started smirking, bathing in all the glory I was giving him, and my asking him for something was like the icing on the cake. He was so big-headed.
Sure, babe. Anything you need.
Okay, so next to you, you'll see a document, and there are just so many lines for me to sign.
Okay, so what's the issue?
Well, you know, because I haven't written in a long time, my handwriting is awful. I'm scared I'm going to mess up the paper.
ED, don't be silly. All signatures look a bit messy.
But I like your signature. It's one of class and elegance. People are going to take me seriously when they see your lovely signature. It looks very well educated.
Oh, does it? You know,
Eva, please sign it for me, baby.
I'll sign it for you. I'll sign it for you.
Great! Just sign on all the dotted lines, please.
Period. Just sign on all the dotted lines, please.
Yeah. I know how it works, babe. I know how it works, babe. I'm the one who went to college, remember?
I swallowed my pride because I was about to throw the dirty water in his face, but I was on a mission. I was anxious. I'm not going to lie. I was depending on his relaxed state for him to just casually sign it, and not read it because if he began to read it, I'd be screwed. Luckily, what I predicted would happen actually happened, and with an air of boasting, he casually and lazily signed the document, sealing his fate. I had Jared right where I wanted him, all relaxed and wrapped around my finger. He had no idea what was about to go down. After he drifted off into dreamland, enjoying the hard work I put in and snoring away, I seized the opportunity to dive into his phone yet again. And guess what? I struck gold. Uctors, or rather, a toxic revelation. There it was, plain as day, a conversation between Todd and Jared. Todd was all hyped up, excited about moving in and mending the oh-so-broken relationship between yours truly and him. Can you believe the audacity?
Hey Jared, I've been missing Dee Dee so much. I really want to fix things between us. I can't wait to move in. Much sincere.
Yeah. Good job. I'm sure she'll be excited once I announce the news. Thought you guys were meant to move in earlier. How long till you come inside?
Just one more month, son. We thought that we'd get the house exterminated and fumigated since we'd be gone for a while. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
I couldn't help but recoil in disgust, feeling a mix of anger and betrayal coursing through my veins. That Sigman. Pod knew he had bad intentions, and my stupidly doting husband was none the wiser. Nonetheless, everyone appeared to be keeping information from me, waiting to blindside me so that I didn't have a say. Well, guess what, boys? Mama's got her game plan, and it's time to turn the tables. With a sly grin on my face, I swiftly whisked away those signed documents, hiding them in a safe place. They were my golden ticket, and all I needed was a month. As for the rest of the evening, I played it cool, continuing my charade of pampering and spoiling Jared. Oh, the irony! He was about to get a rude awakening when Mommy and Daddy Dearest surprised me with their visit. Well, folks, this is the moment you've been waiting for, the revenge. 1 month had passed, and surely enough, my mother-in-law and father-in-law were due to come in. Acted like I didn't know Jack. Honestly, I should get an Oscar. Jared was excited all morning. He thought that all of this was a good idea, but he was about to be sorely mistaken. Lunchtime arrived, and so did my in-laws. I answered the door because Jared told me to get it. I opened the door and I found Greta beaming from ear to ear, as well as Todd, who was licking his lips at me, standing behind his wife and a U-Haul in the driveway. Oh, you two.
Hello, dear. It's been a while.
And you look good as ever.
Right, well, what brings you two here? Some diverged from behind me, revealing the surprise that his parents wanted to move in with us for the time being. We welcomed the couple inside, and that was when I let loose my tongue that I'd held back for all these years. So, you two think you can just waltz in here, acting like you own the place? Who said that I wanted you here?
Kadidi, Gabi saying BEA. Hey, what the hell? Shut up.
No, Jared. I won't shut up. I've shut up for way too long. I'm pure you. I pointed at Todd. You know what you tried to do to me all those years ago? Tell the truth now. I'm warning you. I'm warning you all. This is your last chance to come clean.
Oh, brother. Here we go again with the lies.
I told you that she was still delusional. But you insisted that we make amends.
Guys, I'm so sorry that she's acting like this.
Why don't you go back to the kitchen where you belong and bring us some food? We're your guests, and what's more, we came here to make peace.
But you're too stupid and selfish to realize that. Jared, when are you gonna pay for this fool to get a degree? Maybe she'll learn some sense during her course.
The both of you think you're so smart with your degrees and your fancy lives. Yeah, but might not have been raised the same way as y'all. My English isn't perfect. I mess up a lot, and I don't like reading. But I'm still talented. I'm business savvy, a hard worker. I'm bilingual, and I look good. Something that your husband loves to appreciate.
My you little.
Char, I think it's time to initiate Plan B.
Plan B? What the heck was Plan B? Well, let me tell you. Plan B was to kick me out of the house. Yep, I found out through those same text conversations that Todd and Greta especially, were concerned if I were to act out again, especially since their arrival was meant to be a surprise. They all agreed that if I acted out of line, Jared would have to kick me out.
Yes.
Like those know my word and I shot. Besides my parents and I shaped my parents and I have discussed this for a minute and we came up with Plan B to deal with you when you act like this.
When I act like what? When I speak the truth.
Hey, when you get crazy like this.
Easy.
Aunt, I'm just saying you'll have to move out for some time. Okay? Go ahead and take and cool your head and stop acting so damn crazy all the time.
Oh, you think this is crazy? You haven't seen crazy yet, babe, because guess what? I'm news for you. But your one is gonna be moving out, except the difference is you'll be moving out for your whole lifetime.
Oh, what? So, What do you mean?
I pulled out the papers. Yep, the same ones that Jared signed a month ago. And guess what those papers were? They were papers to transfer ownership of the house to me. That's right, folks. I swindled that man out of a big, beautiful, gorgeous house. And with the conditions I set in the contract for the changing of ownership, not only did I own the house, but everything in it. That's why he had to sign so many times, because he was signing the change of ownership form, the new title on the deed, as well as the contract stating that he was fully aware of what he was signing. Even though he wasn't. I explained all of this to my husband and in-laws, and they were angry, obviously hurling insults at me and threatening to sue.
Yeah, good luck trying to sue me, babe. Were you under duress when you were signing?
Signing? I didn't sign anything.
Let's take her to the police right now.
Are you sure you don't remember?
Oh my god. That Tom, Leslie. I messed up.
Yep, that night, you were acting all high and mighty when I was massaging your feet. And, for someone who went to college, you're pretty dumb when it comes to signing things. How'd you know that you're always supposed to read what you sign?
Hey, Simon,
I'm calling the cops.
Oh, you can try it, lady. They'll just call you all stupid. It's right there signed, sealed, and delivered. You can see his signatures, and he'll hand me ownership, but... And what would you tell the judge? Suppose that you were so relaxed that you didn't bother to check what you were signing.
So it's about tours?
Exactly, no one's gonna believe you. Consider the house retribution for not believing me all these years and for deliberately making me feel awful because you were too blind to believe me. But Jared, we'll see each other in court when I divorce your butt. Now all of you, get the hell out of my house.
Everyone in the room was shocked. No doubt they were surprised that a simple, uneducated girl like me could get away with a plan this mischievous. No doubt they were surprised that a simple, uneducated girl like me could get away with a plan this mischievous. People might judge me because I stole this house, but I don't care. This was me getting my reparations for all the times they made me feel small. And if I'm being honest, I should have stolen more than the house. Jared's ego was bruised. Todd looked too stunned to speak, and Greta was huffing and puffing, trying to find the words to say, but she knew she couldn't say anything. They were all played. I kicked all of those bozos out, declaring that I was done with their abuse, their manipulation, and their lies. That no longer would I be a victim in their lives. Then, not too long after everything went down, word on the street started spreading like wildfire. Turns out Todd, that slimy snake, got caught trying to hook up with some underage girl. Can you believe it? Now he's facing some serious time in the slammer. Thank God someone was finally able to catch him. Guess he finally got what was coming to him. Greta, bless her heart, finally woke up from her delusions. She saw the truth about her precious son's actions, but ain't got time for her late sympathy. She turned a blind eye for way too long. Too little, too late, darling. X says for Jared, that big-headed fool, his ego got a smackdown like you wouldn't believe. He couldn't even gather the guts to fight for the house in court. He was too busy licking his wounds and feeling all embarrassed that he got swindled by his uneducated wife. Well, tough luck, buddy. The victory is all mine, and you're left with nothing but regrets. Life's looking really good for me now, my darlings. I'm getting that sweet alimony and living it up in the lap of luxury in that gorgeous house that used to be tainted by their toxicity. I'm savoring this freedom, baby. It tastes so damn sweet. But the world is my oyster, and I'm going to grab it by the pearls. But before I conquer the world, I've got one dream to chase. I'm going to open my hair salon where beauty meets empowerment. Eventually, it'll be a shrine to my strength and resilience, showing the world how I rose above the mess, from a simple housewife to a badass entrepreneur. I'm the architect of my destiny. So let's raise a glass to the underdogs who triumphed, to the power of resilience, and to living life on our own terms. I'm off on my next adventure exploring the world with a fire in my soul and a heart full of gratitude. This is my story, and I'm the fearless queen who slays the demons of a toxic past.